up, everybody? So we are back in Matthew chapter 5, and we've been through quite a bit so far after the Beatitudes in chapter 5. So we have the Beatitudes, the Sermon on the Mount, we have the salt and light, how Christ came to fulfill the law, not to abolish it, which is very important to keep in mind. Do not think that I've come to abolish the law or the prophets, right? And as he starts each of these sections, he says, you have heard that it was said, right? And he's not correcting the Old Testament or the prophets here. He's speaking about the teachers. And I think that's an important context to get, is that he's talking about people that are missing the intent of the law. And in fact, later on, people try to trip him up with his teaching about divorce. So we're going to read through verses 31 through 37 here, divorce and oaths. So in verse 31, it was also said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife, except on the ground of sexual immorality, makes her commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. That is pretty heavy. Everyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, makes her commit adultery. Whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. I mean, look at our society now. Look how widespread divorce is. I mean, it's huge. And a lot of times this is a key thing, I think, that highlights Christians being influenced by the world instead of the Bible. If you look at God's created order, then divorce is not a thing. It's not an option. Sin happens, and there are pieces in here. The sexual immorality thing, and I take that as if you're in a marriage that you're being abused or you're being bullied into staying, that's not good. There's a way out of that. But if you get bored or you feel stuck, why aren't you fixing your marriage? Anyways, I think it points to this idea that Christians look at this issue of divorce, and most of them are very permissive on it. They accept it, they don't want to condemn people for it, and they just understand it, and they think it makes sense, right? It makes sense to get out of a marriage if you're not happy in it. But happiness isn't the goal. Glorifying God is. Living in his ordered way is the goal. And when we put our happiness above God's ordered creation, that is a recipe for us. It's not a recipe. It's a marker of us holding up our own standards above God's. So in verse 33, he goes into oaths. Again, you have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform to the Lord what you have sworn. But I say to you, do not take an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not take an oath by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let what you say be simply yes or no, for you cannot make yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. So, an oath invoked God's name to seal the deal. You're invoking God's name to enter into an agreement, an oath. Don't do this. Don't swear by heaven. It's not yours. Don't swear by the throne of God, by the earth, by Jerusalem. God is sovereign and over these things. He says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything more comes from evil. So I thought that was kind of an interesting piece here. An oath, so that one of the notes here, an oath involved invoking God's name or substitutes for it to guarantee the truth of one's statements. But Jesus' disciples are not to swear at all. So he's saying instead that they should have the type of character that people know that when they say yes, it means yes. When they say no, it means no. And I think that this ties into being as honest as we can, and also being aware of the perspective in which we're giving an oath. Should we give oaths over things that we're not in control of? We shouldn't. So if you can't control the outcome, why would you swear by it? I think it's kind of interesting take on that. So, but I've kind of put these two together. Divorce and breaking your oaths, I think, go hand in hand. They're character and posture issues. And it's more instructive than the other ones, which I think was kind of an interesting thing. And the other ones, it was I think, very much pointing out that everybody's falling short, even if it's just by anger or lust or whatever. And here he's saying, think about what you're doing. Be intentional about it. Don't act this way. So I thought that was kind of different. Well, next up, we have retaliation and loving your enemies. So kind of a quick one today, but I will catch you in the next one. Like and subscribe to keep tabs on what's coming out, and put down in the bottom on these videos like what you like about the sections, what your favorite part of the section is, if there's anything that stands out to you. I really would love to hear your feedback on what you're getting out of this and what you're reading in the Bible as we go section by section. So that's all we have for today. I will catch you soon. Peace.